Okay, it's good to see everybody today. I'm happy to be back on today. I want to talk today about why we should talk about midlife and Gen X. My name is Deborah Heiser. I'm an applied developmental psychologist, and I have been studying aging since the 1990s. And I look at midlife, and I switched and pivoted years ago to talk about and look at and study everything good about growing older. I used to only look at the negatives when it was the 90s. It was a scary time because there was a whole lot happening where people thought of aging as just physical decline and all sorts of diseases that no one wants to get, like Alzheimer's and other things. So I'm here to talk about the things that we have to look forward to. I'm the author of The Mentorship Edge. I have two books. This is my most recent book, The Mentorship Edge. And I also was founder of the Mentor Project and was CEO for 8 years. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about a lot of this. You can find a lot of my writing on Psychology Today. It's called The Right Side of 40. And you can also find it on my Substack, which is also called The Right Side of 40. So if you're looking for information on anything to do with midlife and the positive aspects of it, check me out there. And obviously, you can find me at YouTube and on TikTok. So let's get started. Midlife today is age 40 to 65. And Gen Xers are redefining both work and life stages in this time period. And thank you for the likes. I appreciate you. And good to see you back. So midlife is not defined as decline. A lot of people get nervous about midlife, think of it as a midlife crisis, think of it as a time of having all kinds of feelings of loss, but really it's a unique phase for reinvention, for purpose, for giving back, for building your legacy. And thank you. So this is a great time to really start to think about yourself and what is it that you want to get out of life. So part of it is changing narratives. We are not our parents. And the way that we go about midlife is not the same. If you look at pictures of your parents from when they were your age, you're going to be shocked to see just how different they looked. There are no longer the polyester pantsuits and things like that. A real aged look by age 50 was what was expected. Even by 40, people really had an aged look about them. But we see so many individuals in midlife who are considered to be sex symbols, who are out there and doing a lot that is fashion forward, looking amazing, keeping fit. These sorts of things. We, as Gen Xers, are reinventing what midlife looks like. So the things that we still have to look at, even though we're redefining how we look and feel, is we still face job burnout. We still face shifting values. We still face increased uncertainty about retirement and changing family roles. This is a time, midlife is often a time when people get divorced or when there are different family roles that might change. So even though we're doing that, what I'm saying here and now, that we have so much to look forward to, a lot of people have a little, wrench in it. That is, they might say, well, that doesn't resonate with me because I'm going through some kind of a life stage. Those are all normal things that we would go through. However, we still have the ability to look at things, even in times of uncertainty, with a new shifting value, and we can look at them in a different light. We don't have to use our parents' generation as a guide for how to dictate how we move forward. Our parents' generation had a lot of things that they grew up with that was really different than how we did. And we're different in the way that we're approaching it. So think of it this way. So we do have a lot of emotional realities. We have increase in life satisfaction. That is something that we often don't talk about or think about, but we have that. That's available to us, that we create ourselves. We also have some unique risk factors, like despair and mental health challenges that can come into play. We do have control over a lot of how that is, but we need to keep that in mind. So, overall, we have a lot in our favor in midlife that we can look forward to. But I'll just say this, what we have is resilience and the ability to overcome the challenges that are in our life that I think that Gen Xers are sort of born to really have an understanding of. If you look back at, Gen Xers living in the 80s and 90s when there were latchkey kids and all kinds of ways that Gen Xers had to solve problems on the fly. And that comes in to play in a very positive way in midlife because we're now in uncharted territory. We're not checking the boxes of what was in front of us, like go get a job, finish school, get a partner, have kids, do these things that we didn't necessarily place on ourselves. Now we have the opportunity to place them on ourselves and to take control of some of the fears that we have about trying new things, about having our future in our own hands. But if we remember that we are much more resilient than we give ourselves credit for usually, it really is helpful in saying, I can navigate this. I know I can do this. This is temporary. I can move forward. So we should expect life satisfaction. We should expect increased happiness, but there can be a blip in the road. So if that is happening, that is not something that is permanent. We're really great at being able to pivot. So we also know that success is something that is, a lot of times people have success as a defined thing, how you do in school, how you rise in a job. With success is attached to a lot of different things. And by midlife, we're able to see a lot of our success is in what we're choosing, what we want our success to be. Career success starts to fade sometimes for people. And they say, you know what, I want to put a lot of those eggs into my family basket, or I want to put some more into my friend basket or my passion projects or something else. So our success becomes something more tangible because we spread it out a lot in midlife. We give ourselves many more options to have success. And that doesn't feel as filled as when you're in school and you're saying, I have to have all this success in order to get into college. So your academic success is all that you're really thinking about. Or if you're looking to rise in a job or get a job and it's all there, or it's parenting and it's all that. By midlife, we have learned that we have a lot of different slices of the pie that we can have success in. And that looking to get 30% success is way easier and better than looking for 100% success in one thing. So this is the time to try new things, to put yourself out there, to say, oh, good, my success just has to be good enough. I don't have to be like phenomenal in everything. And that's one of the nice things about the reframing in midlife that we all can do. And that Gen Xers in particular are good at, because we are good at pivoting and looking at different ways of doing things. And so if you were able to apply a success to those different things, it really is helpful. Even saying, hey, I'm resourceful, I can solve a problem in many different ways. Those sorts of things are success as well. So if I'm going to go over some of the top Gen X midlife challenges, it's sometimes good to remind ourselves of what these are, because it can be very overwhelming when we're in the middle of midlife, and we're saying, oh, gee, I feel like I'm getting hit in many different directions from things. Here are some of the top 10 things. Career burnout. That can feel like boredom. And that can be a problem for a lot of people because this challenge is, gee, what do I do now? I'm feeling totally burned out at work. This is something to keep in mind. If that is something that you're feeling, it's something good to address. And I've talked a little bit about this before, and I'm going to talk about it in the future. But this is something that we can have some control over, and we can work on that. Redefining success is another one. Most people think of success as something that they attach to what somebody else is doing. Oh, the Joneses, they have so much more money than me. Someone has a better car than me. Somebody has better whatever. Whatever that is, we look at success in terms of what we don't have. We need to switch that. What are the things that you feel great about and redefine success? Do you have something that you've always strived for? Are you doing something that is unique or interesting? Do you make impact in the world? Success can look like a lot of different things. Success can be that you have navigated a tricky scenario. It can be that you've overcome an illness. It can be that you have done something in your community that matters to you. Whatever that is, redefine success so that it's tangible and it makes sense. And I can obviously talk more about that in another one of these, but success is one of those things that can be very hard on midlifers, because when you're assessing and saying, what does my life look like? A lot of people compare it to what other people have. And this is your race. Run it yourself. You do not need to look at somebody else's success and say, that should be mine. In fact, when I talk to people, they'll often say, I don't even want what other people have, but I felt like I needed to in order to feel success. So a person might say, oh, I know this person, got a certificate in something, or somebody got a degree in something, or somebody has something. And then I say, oh, would you have wanted to take that certificate course? No, I'm not even interested. Those are the kinds of things that we have to redefine with regard to success in midlife, because we will chase a whole bunch of stuff we don't even want otherwise. It's part of FOMO, and it's an easy enough fix. Another thing that can plague midlifers or be challenges is financial stress and retirement fears. And kind of like success, this one is interesting. If you look up on the internet anything about retirement, you're going to feel overwhelmed probably. And that's because you're going to see how much you're supposed to have, and it changes, from place to place that you read, and you might feel like, oh my gosh, I'll never get there. Well, if you're able to look at it and say to yourself, I have flexibility. I may always want to have a side job going. I may always want to work in some capacity. A lot of people are choosing that. And research shows that if you continue to work, you tend to have purpose longer, and it makes you more emotionally fulfilled. So if we look at retirement not as something that it's a checkbox, but something that we'll do when we want to do it, and that we can always leave a door open for side hustles that give us a little bit of extra cash if we want that might give us a little bit of extra insurance if that's what we're looking for, it takes away some of that scariness about retiring. Health changes, look at these. These are from midlife. I remember turning like 40 and being like, I can't see the menu. And I had no idea that I just needed reading glasses. These health changes can be scary for a lot of people because it's the first time that you feel vulnerability. But we adapt. We all adapt. It's okay. We put on a pair of reading glasses and we're good to go. It's really, the health changes are just keeping up with a lot of the doctor visits and making sure that you're on top of everything. But that's it. Divorce and empty nest. These are challenges that hit a lot of people. And this feels like grief. It can go through stages like grief. And that is something that, we can get through. And that we do. And there are ways to look at that. There's an empty nest coach that's on TikTok that you can even check out. A lot of he has a podcast and TikTok on this, but on empty nest, because there's a need for this. A lot of people think they're all alone in how they feel about having an empty nest, or feeling, like they're alone in how they feel about divorce. But these are common, and there are ways to get around these and to feel okay about it. Shifting identity is another. A lot of people choose to shift identity in midlife, and that is because most of us tie our identity with our business card. I am my job title. I am this. And then we might shift our job. Maybe we get downsized. Maybe we get laid off. Maybe we decide I want to shift in what I do for work. That shifting identity can be a challenge for a lot of people because we're so used to identifying with a title. And that title goes away or it changes, and that can be difficult for people. But if we look at our identity as more than just our job title, it makes it a lot easier for us. We can start to talk about our identity in different ways. Like, I'm a person who loves to get involved in the community. My identity is, that I'm a parent. I do a lot of different things. You can list them out. Um, Another thing that can crop up in midlife that can be a challenge for Gen Xers is loneliness and connection gaps. We are used to doing things by ourselves. We are super independent. And we have to remember that while we're in the busiest time of our lives, which is 30s to 40s and even up to 45, or can be even up to 50, we have to really remember that we need to still plug in with our connections. So it could be monthly, it can be sending a text every now and then, but maintaining our connections. So that is really what helps to stave off loneliness. And we forget to do that because we get so busy. But that is one thing that can come up in midlife where we start to say, oh my gosh, where are my connections? So my one bit of advice for that, and I've talked about this in the past, is to just do what you can. Maybe it's you're sending people a text that you haven't talked to in a long time, but you're just rekindling some of your relationships with family, with friends, with older friends, and just saying, "Hey, had a minute. I was thinking of you," and rekindling some of those relationships. People tend to be really happy about that. I love it when I get a connection from the past that reaches out, and a lot of times we're able to reconnect in ways that are meaningful. Balancing caregiver roles. This is huge in midlife. A lot of people are working on caring for their parents as well as their kids. Even if their kids are grown, there's still maybe even grandparenting in there. So there's a whole lot of caregiving roles that happen, and that can feel overwhelming. And that can feel like a lot. So balancing those and being aware of what you can do and getting support is really helpful. Feeling culturally invisible. I heard this all the time when I was CEO of the Mentor Project. So many people, it didn't matter what they were. It didn't matter if you are an astronaut, if you're a famous person, it doesn't matter. People worry about being invisible. And that's because if you have always done something, if you've made impact, if you have had a role and you suddenly don't, the feeling of invisibility is really scary. So making sure that you feel relevant, the ways that you can feel visible are by getting connected, mentor, volunteer, get involved in a community. I know that this Sunday, tomorrow, I am going to be doing a Rotary Club event in my community for, getting turkey dinners to people. It makes me feel part of the community. These are things that we can do everywhere. It doesn't cost a dime for us to get involved in these things, but it makes you feel visible. And technology adaptation. I just got off the phone with somebody earlier who was really complaining about not understanding certain kinds of technology. And that's what can be a challenge for midlifers. And most people just say, oh, well, go talk to somebody younger than you. I say something a little different. I say talk to other people in your circle because it feels a lot of times to people, um, it feels demeaning almost if you're always going to somebody younger and asking them to help you. But if you're working on it with people in your own age group, your own cohort, your own friends, it can often be easier to solve those problems on your own with them in helping you, and to maybe even go to a community ed place and figure that out. Whatever you have, that is a challenge that a lot of people have. So, I mean, I really think that midlife is a stage of renewal. It's an opportunity for emotional growth and meaning. There is a paradigm shift that happens in midlife, and this is a time when we have the biggest opportunity to benefit from self awareness, emotional resilience, meaningful relationships, productivity, a sense of contribution. We don't have that when we're younger. This is something that we're able to step back a little bit once we hit midlife and feel like, oh, I have some self awareness. It's because we can finally breathe a little. And so having that understanding, you know what? I am resilient. I look at all the things that I have done, that I've accomplished that can be emotionally resilient things, or maybe they are actually physically resilient. But taking that in is so important. And meaningful relationships, we often take for granted the meaningful relationships we have, or we think we should have more. You just need one. That's it. It's not about quantity, it's about quality, and building on that to make sure that the relationships that you do have are really remaining meaningful. And then productivity and sense of contribution. These are all things we feel and experience in midlife that we don't get to feel as much when we're younger, because we don't have the bandwidth to, for the most part. We're so busy and trying to accomplish some of the goals that are set before us. And now that we can step back, this is when we really kick into high gear with feeling emotionally satisfied and feeling more fulfilled. So we also, which is another really kind of good paradigm shift for us in midlife, is that we move from being led to being leaders. So moving from being a follower to a guide to being a mentor. Once we hit midlife, we have a lot of experience, expertise, wisdom, all this stuff. And we move from going to get that from somebody else to giving it to others. And that's a really great feeling. It makes us feel visible. But these are the things that are paradigm shifts for us that aren't always easy for us to take in, even when we're doing it all right. So having some of that, just stepping back and having the ability to look at your life and reflect is super helpful. So, some ways that we can find real purpose is through volunteering, mentoring, or doing any kind of philanthropic work or philanthropy. In terms of, I see people being philanthropic at every single age on social media. Every time they give out, a little gift that's on one of the lives, things like that. That is all philanthropy. So I have some signs that you might not have thought about that show that you're ready for a midlife pivot. And so I'm going to talk about some of those right now. So hold on a second. I'm just checking some of this out. And thank you. Thank you for some of the comments I'm seeing on here. I appreciate you. So what I want to be able to talk about now are some of the pivots that we probably experience. So take a listen to some of these, and some might resonate, some might not. But some signs that you're ready to make a midlife pivot are that you're craving new personal or professional meaning. Don't say to yourself, if you start to feel that you should just dismiss it. You might be craving new personal. Maybe you have a personal friend group that you're hanging out with or doing things, but you're craving more. Then go get that. You should go look for that. I'm not saying ditch all your friends. I'm saying go look for some of that. You might be growing and you need to experience new and different people. Also, professional meaning. It doesn't mean that you have to quit your job. It might mean that you do something extra outside of your job. So, sometimes we need to pivot, and it's very important to listen to and feel, recognize those signs that we're feeling. Another sign is the greater desire to help others. I have seen this like unbelievably. I was CEO of the Mentor Project, and we couldn't keep up with the number of people, especially in midlife, who wanted to help others. And I myself feel that it's like an itch that you get all of a sudden that you have to scratch where you want to help people. Um, Seeking new learning adventures. I would not have predicted this when I was younger. But I can't tell you how many Coursera courses I've taken in midlife because I wanted to learn. And if you had asked me that in college or high school, I would have been like, I'm not going to try to learn at all if I don't have to. But there, if you might get that desire, and it could be in anything, maybe it's a new craft or it's a new hobby that you want to do. That's another thing that happens in midlife. Um, Another one is emotional stability outpacing your earlier years. And what that means is that you might feel more emotionally stable. People don't get under your skin the same way. Things don't bother you as much that maybe bothered you earlier, that you're feeling a lot more emotionally stable in things that would have really gotten to you. Another thing is reclaiming neglected passions. So I know a ton of people who've said, I used to play an instrument when I was young and I never brought it out. So there's somebody I know who went back to playing the flute, playing the piano, getting back to some of those neglected passions. People paint all the time. I know so many people who took up painting again. Any other thing that they once did that they enjoyed. People will take up sports that they didn't, get to do for 10, 20 years, and they'll go back and reclaim those, which is a great thing to do. Another thing that shows that you are ready for a midlife pivot is having stronger boundaries in relationships. So you might say, you know what, I'm not taking that anymore from people. I was always the one that, hey, I'm going to be the nice person. If somebody wants somebody to do something, I'll do it, or I'll always just try to make everyone happy or be a people pleaser. This is a time that you're ready for a midlife pivot when you start to feel like you want to have stronger boundaries in your relationships and you start to set those. Another one is curiosity about legacy. This is a big one that I see with a lot of people is the curiosity about what is my legacy? What will people remember about me? What is it that I want people to remember about me? What would I want my legacy to be or to look like? That's a really big one that I see all the time. Willingness to experiment and fail. Midlifers are oftentimes a lot more willing to do this. But if you're feeling like, you know what, I'm going to put myself out on a limb and I'm going to go do something completely different and it's okay if I fail, that is saying you're ready for a midlife pivot. Letting go of old identities and roles. That's another one. And a desire to mentor or guide others. So these are things, if you're feeling any of these, and a lot of people, when I say mentor or guide others, they think, I don't know if I want to go work one-on-one and mentor somebody. Mentoring, there's a modern form of mentoring that I often talk about, and I wrote about it in the Mentorship Edge. And that is, if you go out and you want to start podcasting, if you want to go out and write blogs, that's mentorship. That's a modern form of mentoring. Coming on and doing a live and talking about what you're passionate about, that is a form of modern mentorship. So if you're doing something that you are saying, oh, I just had an itch to do this, you might be mentoring and you just don't know it. So we often have an urge to give back in midlife, and this is called generativity. There's an actual term for it, and it's a psychological life stage called generativity that is right in middle life. This is a midlife stage. And Erik Erikson was the developmental psychologist who talked about this. And he basically used this as our legacy, midpoint in where we're looking from legacy. And generativity is the drive to leave a mark through volunteering, mentoring, and philanthropy. And generativity really fuels both mentor and mentee, and it helps to sustain relevance and joy into later years. And this is something that we really like to do. We want to do it. We often get an urge to do it, and we're like, "Where did that come from?" Well, that's why you're built to do it, just like walking and talking. So, if we think of all of this, it can even be giving back to your grandchildren, things like that. It's such a broad thing. If you're interested in this and want to learn more, I write a lot about that in the Mentorship Edge. So this is a book that I wrote it came out in November last year. So it's been out for about a year, but it talks all about that. So if this is an area that you say, hey, I might be falling into some of those categories, it makes sense. You can check that out. So the top 10 ways that we can be generative are to mentor young adults or professionals, volunteer for local causes. I just mentioned that I'm going out and doing a turkey drive, thing on tomorrow morning. Share your expertise online or as a guest speaker. Write or create resources for others. Engage in community organizing. Start a foundation or contribute to charities. Create an intergenerational program. Become a foster parent. Lead peer support groups, or champion a cause or a movement. All of these things are things that are readily available to us. They're free. We can do these really pretty easily, and they might fall within something that you're already passionate about. So, if we really want to look at what true mentorship is, it's defined by 5 elements: generativity, which I just mentioned a little bit about; intrinsic motivation, you have to want to do it. Nobody pays you to do it. If you're getting paid, you're not mentoring. Meaningful connections, you have to like the person. Trust, you have to trust the person, and having a goal. So you really do need to have a goal that you're working towards. It's not the same as coaching or sponsorship. There's no financial transaction. It's more of a deeper personal relationship. Um, and most people don't talk about lateral mentoring. It's a term that I coined. It is when we look to our left and we look to our right, and we are mentoring peers across generations, like left and right. It's really like looking not at somebody above you to pull you up to the next level. It is looking to your left and to your right. We do this all the time. Most people just don't realize it. And I write about that also in the Mentorship Edge. So, some of the things that we really should be doing when we are looking at midlife is try to take up a new hobby, revisit old passions, enroll in a new educational opportunity, explore entrepreneurship or creative freelance work, travel someplace new. It doesn't have to be far, just someplace new. It could be in your own town, but go, or somewhere else. Go somewhere new though. Build new, stronger friendships. Practice daily reflection and journaling. Seek feedback from people. Ask other people what they think you're good at. We're pretty bad at that usually, but other people will tell you what you're really good at, and it feels good, but it also helps you to keep doing that. Try therapy or coaching so that you can make those pivots that you want to make. So it can be overwhelming if we do it by ourselves sometimes, but getting a coach to help you through that is often really a great idea. It's short term, it doesn't last long, and you can get a real boost in whatever you're doing. Teach or lead when there's a setting that is unfamiliar to a lot of people, and create small wins for yourself. This is an important one. We do not do a good job at giving ourselves a celebration for small wins. And small wins can be anything. That could be yay, I folded my laundry today. I got out of bed, whatever. Give yourself some things that you're going to win at, celebrate it, and then add on to it so that you're always progressing. But don't go for something big and unachievable. Go for something small and build from that. And, this is the time to really think about leaving a legacy. What kind of footprint do you want to make? That's a big question. What do you want to be remembered by? We don't live forever. If you're not around, what do you want people to be saying about you? What do you want them to think about you? And what kind of expertise do you want to pass on to somebody else? Is it that you want to pass down some of your recipes? That's a great legacy. Some of your traditions, your values, your culture, your religion, all of those are things that you can do, that you're probably already doing. But think to yourself, what kind of footprint do you want to make? And how can you institutionalize those values through others? How do you want to do it? Do you want to mentor somebody? Do you want to give money away? Do you want to volunteer somewhere to get that done? How is it that you want to leave your legacy? And take a tiny step in that direction, just a tiny step in one of those directions in some way. Maybe you are going to share your traditions and values with somebody. The holidays are coming up. Maybe you're going to take the time to say, I am going to share my traditions with people. Whatever that practical small step is, you can take that, count that as a win, and move forward with it. So, um, start a mentoring initiative, create a family tradition. Maybe you want to add some life lessons to it that you've gotten from your family that you want others to know. Um, Give a scholarship. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, but one that you can have every year that goes out. Write a blog. It's free. Go to Substack, create a free Substack and have a blog and write something that matters to you. Foster organizational change at work. That could be smiling when you pass people. It's holding the door for somebody else. Those tiny acts make a big difference. Um, Launch a social enterprise. People do that all the time. Record your stories for future generations. That's a really big one. You can do that. I don't see it, but I have a book that somebody made in the family of, my grandparents, and I didn't know a lot of the stuff that was there, and so that was a really cool thing that they did. You could do that. Support mental health or social causes that matter to you, and really try to model the behavior that you want, because people will remember you for how you acted and how you made others feel. So start acting like that, like the way that you want people to remember you. So I enjoyed being on here today. My name is Deborah Heiser. I'm an applied developmental psychologist. I was founder and CEO of the Mentor Project for 8 years, and I wrote the Mentorship Edge. And I'm on here. I try to come on almost every day, so I hope to see you back again. But you can find me on YouTube, and you can find me on TikTok, and ask any questions that you have. I'm always happy to answer them. Have a great day.